So as part of our 20th anniversary celebrations in 2024, Pharos Architectural Controls is spotlighting 20 people and projects that have helped to shape our company and our products and continue to inspire us every day. Ryan Sainsbury, Regional Manager for UK and Northern Europe for Pharos, and myself are really excited today to be joined by Maria Jenkins from Experience Lighting to talk about her experiences with Pharos products, particularly as a pro user. Welcome, Maria. It's really lovely to have you along as part of the campaign. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
and
well,
Ryan too. I guess like the first thing that we just wanted to sort of to start with was just for you to kind of talk to us about your career trajectory and your experiences. How did you get into lighting in the first place, and I guess how did that bring Pharos into your sort of sphere?
Right. Okay. Well, so rewinding the clock then. So when I moved away from the Southwest to university, I was doing a pretty heavy maths and statistics degree. So with a need of finding something to kind of occupy the creative side, I started working in the student union. So I was lighting bands and running the nightclub, and that sort of escalated basically through uni, and I was sort of technical manager in my last year, and it kind of gave me the ability to kind of be in the industry but without having to be in the industry, if that kind of makes sense. And then when I left uni, I worked for a installation company, so I did a bit of sort of smaller installation work, bars and that kind of thing, nightclub stuff, when nightclubs existed. And from there I left and went to work for a distributor called Light Factor, who were based in West London. And at the time, they were the high-end systems distributor. So I had a more sort of customer support role, technical, repairs and customer training, that kind of thing. They developed some smaller lighting desks, and like I say, we're also the high-end distributor at the time. And then as time went on, high-end obviously purchased Flying Pig, and that's where I first met Chris Hunt and Nick Artsdale, who later started Pharos. So when I left Light Factor after about maybe 6 or 7 years, I'd sort of already built up a portfolio of freelance clients. So I kind of was able to step into the freelance world, with already some really good contacts. And at that kind of time when I did that, it was just as Pharos was starting, really. So it was kind of a timing thing that kind of myself and Pharos were on the same kind of page. And so that's sort of how the relationship with Pharos started.
Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. There's so much there that we kind of looked at, especially obviously that the connection of high end, and then obviously them buying Flying Pig. So when you first kind of came into contact with Pharos, specifically looking kind of like at the actual kind of the products that we do, was that kind of like a reaction to kind of like the stuff that was on the market? Was there a specific need that you kind of sought out Pharos, or was there anything in particular that you thought, okay, yeah, this is definitely the product that I think is going to be right for this job?
Yeah, I think it wasn't something particularly where I was searching out for a product, but like I say, at the time Pharos had just started, and in my sort of freelance work, I was doing a lot of work for lighting designers who maybe weren't interested in controls and the sort of behind the scenes bits that make their lighting designs actually work. And so like I say, Pharos was a new product, and actually the first time I used it was at Madame Tussauds at Baker Street, and they were sort of developing a new area and were having a need to use lots of different things. It was all mostly DMX driven at the time, and Pharos kind of fitted that environment of being an attraction that had to run in a fairly straightforward way every day, yet still give quite complex results, if that makes sense. So it kind of fitted the requirements of the venue, and at the time it was kind of like one of the projects where it's like, here's the software, off you go, we open in 2 days, and that's sort of how that was my first Pharos job, thrown in at the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, obviously the systems changed a lot. I think our software's developed and kind of like our abilities have developed, but it's always been the idea that we can provide this scalable system that can do really like simple things, or it can do a lot more of the complex things. And I suppose it kind of really comes down to programming and how experienced you are programming with a system. So would you say that there's been quite a lot of changes over the years to the kind of the way that our system's programmed, and is there specific features that you really like about Pharos and the way maybe we integrate with other devices?
I wouldn't say that the way it's programmed has changed massively. I think it's developed, but I wouldn't say it's a completely different beast to even how it was, those 20 years ago. I think that where Pharos is great, and this has become a bigger and bigger thing as time's gone by, is it's come out of the entertainment industry where the guys that develop it and the guys in the office now have still got that show must go on kind of attitude, which is it's great for us on the other side of it, but also the fact that it has a foot in the architectural camp as well. So when you are doing those projects where you've got a bit of entertainment, color change, but you've also got a bit of general lighting, which might be DALI controlled, for example. Pharos is one of not very many systems actually that is good at both, and you can bring together one venue with just one system. And I think and also integrating with wider systems, BMS systems, or the AV smart home systems, that's also where Pharos is really strong, and that makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think we've been kind of working on those features, as you said, without kind of ripping up the rule book, and just kind of keeping stuff developed and well maintained. And that's something that I think is coming on to kind of the other part of what you do. Obviously, you're one of our main dealer distributors in the UK. You've obviously got lots and lots of technical knowledge of our products, which is really good. But obviously, you're one of our main distributors as well. So that distribution model that obviously we're talking about, for you, how is that, how did you kind of get into that, and what was kind of the idea there? And tell us a little bit more about kind of what it is that you do with Pharos when you're not programming away.
Again, I think it's been quite an organic thing, in terms of the kind of customers I work with are customers on similar kind of jobs to myself. They're in visitor attractions or themed environments, those kind of things, and they like Pharos for the same reasons I do. And it's quite easy to sort of relay that enthusiasm for a product like Pharos. And I think the other thing is, and the reason why I'm still doing a bit of both. So I'm still going out on site, and I'm actually still on the tools, on the laptop myself, because I think that also kind of does keep you fresh and and up to date as well. But you've still got an eye for the kind of things that happen on site, and you're not just totally isolated in an office selling a box. So I think the customers can see that, and they appreciate that you're not just selling a box. You do know what you're selling, and I think that's important to them. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. And as I said, that's I think the great thing about you, Maria, is obviously, yes, you distribute our products, but you have really good technical knowledge and understanding behind that, how the actual product works, which for us is a really important thing as well. So talking about those kind of projects and kind of projects that you kind of get involved with, I think there was one that I recently saw up in Manchester, Printworks. It looked like a really cool installation. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about that project and kind of what your role was, and a little bit more about the kind of the details of the project?
Yeah, it's a great space, and the renovations that they've done have really made a massive difference to the whole feel of the space and the way it gets used. But basically, just as a quick outline, they've installed, I think what they're stating is Europe's biggest digital ceiling, that runs a load of custom content by a couple of different sources. And basically, my role was to develop a lighting system. And to be fair, when they started this project, I think it was almost 5 years ago now, it was quite a static white system, so it wasn't there was no color change at all, and over the years that's developed to become quite an immersive color change system. So there's some RGB track fittings been installed at high level, and some Anolis stuff, and some other color change things, and now that's all integrated with the content. So this whole idea of having an immersive space where the lighting you know, ties in with the content. You know, there's like 90 odd clips, and every clip of video has a specific lighting timeline for it. So it's quite a lot of programming, but it's all integrated, and it does bring a you know, a more immersive feel to the space. And then on top of that, the LPC4 also runs the facade kind of independently, and so the client uses their cloud app to schedule stuff on the facade, as well as at the same time running the content driven internal stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool. Next time I'm up there, I'm definitely going to have to go check it
It's
out.
worth a walk through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely worth a walk through. Yeah.
Cool.
It's definitely been making headlines, hasn't it? The Printworks kind of launch, and
it's
fantastic.
been a long time coming, but I hope people will think it's worth the wait. So.
Yeah, so it certainly seems to have captured people's imagination. So I think it has. But yeah, it's great to hear how you've been able to kind of be involved in that project from you know, from a kind of dual perspective of, you know, that having that programming knowledge while also being able to you know, to plug in, you know, Pharos's gear into the project as well, for, you know, to kind of connect with those needs, like you say, of the client. And you know, we're really proud to have been able to kind of spotlight what you're doing for the industry, and, you know, working with us as well. So we really appreciate your time. It's been absolutely great to talk to you, and thank you so much for being part of the campaign.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.